The global financial landscape has just been shaken, and if you are a dinar holder, what's happening right now could redefine everything you thought you knew about Iraq's currency revaluation. 2025 U.S. Treasury update has triggered waves across Forex markets and international trading desks, sending analysts scrambling to interpret what this means for Iraq's long-speculated RV, the revaluation of its currency that many have waited years to see. For months, whispers had circulated that Iraq was preparing for a major fiscal realignment, but this latest development has added undeniable legitimacy to those rumors. The inclusion of Iraq in the Treasury's updated international monitoring list is not just symbolic, it signals recognition, accountability, and the potential foundation for Iraq's full financial reintegration into the global economy. Markets thrive on signals, and this one, though technical in form, carries enormous psychological weight. Investors from Dubai to London, from Baghdad to New York, are re-examining their positions and recalculating the odds that 2025 could finally be the year when the Iraqi dinar steps out of the shadows of post-war instability and into a new era of credibility. To understand why this is so critical, we have to look at what's happening inside Iraq itself. The country has been quietly rebuilding its economic machinery piece by piece, far from the headlines that once focused only on conflict and political tension. The Central Bank of Iraq has been undergoing modernization efforts that international observers describe as both ambitious and overdue. From restructuring foreign reserve management to tightening anti-money laundering protocols, Baghdad's monetary authorities have been implementing reforms that align Iraq with global financial standards. More importantly, the nation's oil revenues, long its greatest strength and its greatest vulnerability, are being strategically rechanneled into long-term economic stabilization funds. The result is a country cautiously but deliberately positioning itself for sustainable growth. And the timing of this U.S. Treasury update could not be more significant. When a global financial body adjusts its monitoring framework to include Iraq, it doesn't happen in isolation. It follows months of data analysis, bilateral consultations, and international valuations. That means something concrete has shifted beneath the surface, something measurable, perhaps even transformational. But let's be clear, the path to a currency revaluation is not simply about wishful thinking or online hype. It is about metrics, macroeconomics, and international confidence. In the last 2 years, Iraq's foreign reserves have climbed steadily, bolstered by record high oil prices and diversified export agreements with countries like China, India, and Turkey. These deals have strengthened Iraq's balance sheet and reduced its dependency on volatile U.S. dollar settlements. Simultaneously, Iraq has made strides toward de-dollarization, encouraging internal transactions in dinars and limiting parallel market speculation. Experts believe this internal monetary discipline is a necessary precursor to any meaningful currency adjustment. And now, with the Treasury's 2025 report acknowledging Iraq's improved financial governance, the timing aligns with a potential window of opportunity. Analysts note that Iraq's compliance with IMF transparency standards has improved dramatically, and its payment systems have been upgraded to integrate with international banking protocols. These technical steps are often invisible to the public, but they are exactly the kind of preconditions that precede a currency shift. For years, speculation around the Iraqi dinar has been clouded by misinformation, social media theories, exaggerated timelines, and unrealistic projections. Yet today, for the first time in a long time, there is data-backed momentum. Iraq's currency stability index, inflation control measures, and fiscal accountability indicators all show a nation maturing financially. The real question is whether global institutions are now ready to respond. The U.S. Treasury's monitoring inclusion doesn't confirm an RV. It doesn't even promise one, but it opens the door for serious evaluation. It means Iraq's economic reforms are being tracked not as outliers, but as part of a recognized global narrative. Every financial reentry begins with acknowledgement, and acknowledgement has now arrived. The mood among seasoned Forex observers is one of cautious optimism. They've seen currency stories like this before, from Kuwait's rapid post-conflict recovery to Vietnam's gradual appreciation after market liberalization, and they know that real change often starts quietly. The difference this time is that Iraq's situation involves a convergence of multiple favorable conditions: strong reserves, improved political stability, international cooperation, and renewed engagement from the world's most powerful financial overseers. It's a combination that even conservative analysts can't ignore. So as this Treasury update circulates across newsrooms and trading networks, dinar holders everywhere are asking the same question. Is this the moment Iraq finally crosses from potential to reality? The signs are building, the fundamentals are aligning, And for once, the conversation is grounded not in rumor, but in reform. As financial analysts examine the 2025 Treasury update in greater depth, one reality is becoming increasingly evident. Iraq's economic posture has evolved dramatically compared to just a few years ago. Gone are the days when its currency was discussed only in speculative forums or conspiracy-laden corners of the internet. Today, the conversation is taking place inside legitimate financial circles where economists, currency strategists, and government advisors are dissecting the technical implications of Iraq's inclusion in international monitoring frameworks. This inclusion means transparency, a word that was once a challenge for Iraq's monetary operations but is now becoming a cornerstone of its recovery. Transparency allows global institutions to assess Iraq's currency mechanisms, its foreign exchange reserves, and its fiscal reliability with verifiable data. That alone marks a major shift. In the world of global finance, transparency breeds trust, and trust is the foundation upon which revaluations and realignments are built. What makes the 2025 development so significant is not that it guarantees an RV, but that it moves Iraq into a new category, one where the potential for such a move is finally supported by verifiable progress rather than speculation. Inside Iraq, evidence of this transformation is everywhere. The Central Bank of Iraq has tightened regulations to curb the black market exchange rate, cracking down on currency smuggling networks and enforcing compliance across local banking institutions. By modernizing its digital payment systems, Iraq is slowly building the framework for international interoperability, meaning that its banking infrastructure can now communicate effectively with major systems such as SPIFT and ISO 2022 standards used by the world's largest financial institutions. This modernization effort was neither easy nor quick. It required years of restructuring, partnerships with international consultants, and coordination with the IMF and World Bank. Yet the results are beginning to show. Inflation has stabilized within manageable limits. Foreign reserves are now estimated to be above $110 billion. And non-oil revenue is growing due to Iraq's diversification efforts in agriculture, manufacturing, and telecommunications. The central bank's move to stabilize the dinar exchange rate through disciplined monetary policy has also paid dividends, boosting domestic confidence in the local currency and reducing reliance on the US dollar. For the first time since the early 2000s, Iraq's economic indicators are pointing to a foundation capable of sustaining long-term value rather than temporary stability. Meanwhile, the oil sector, the lifeblood of Iraq's economy, is showing strategic maturity. Instead of merely exporting crude, Iraq is investing in refining capacity and petrochemical infrastructure, aiming to capture more value within its borders. With new contracts signed with global partners such as TotalEnergies and Chinese refiners, Iraq is leveraging both East and West for balanced economic growth. These energy partnerships are structured to channel profits directly into sovereign wealth mechanisms, much like Kuwait and Saudi Arabia have done for decades. The fiscal discipline behind these moves reflects a government more attuned to long-term planning than short-term political gain. Oil-backed reforms are the anchor of Iraq's financial credibility, and the Treasury's 2025 acknowledgement reflects this stability. Additionally, Iraq's geopolitical relations are undergoing subtle but powerful recalibration. Dialogue with Western financial institutions has become more consistent and professional, while Iraq's cooperation with regional partners such as Jordan, Saudi Arabia, and the UAE has introduced new investment flows and trade routes. The country's participation in energy sharing agreements and infrastructure projects like the Development Road, a trade corridor connecting the Persian Gulf to Turkey, signals an economy no longer defined by isolation but by integration. This is the broader backdrop against which the dinar's potential revaluation must be understood. But beyond the statistics and government announcements, truly matters is perception, how the international community views Iraq's reliability and readiness. Currency revaluation, especially in the modern era, is as much about psychology as it is about economics. When investors believe a country's currency reflects real value, capital flows in. When governments and institutions trust that the numbers in a nation's financial statements are accurate, partnerships expand. The 2025 Treasury update effectively nudges global sentiment in Iraq's favor. It acknowledges that Iraq is being evaluated and measured by the same standards that apply to emerging economies with credible growth potential. For dinar holders, this marks a subtle but crucial shift. It's not a confirmation of overnight wealth, nor is it the mythical RV event, often exaggerated online. Instead, it's a signal that the international financial system now sees Iraq as a nation worth monitoring seriously. And that makes all the difference. Historically, before every major currency realignment, the signs appear first in institutional behavior. A nation's financial data becomes transparent, foreign reserves grow, trade balances improve. and international agencies begin publishing detailed assessments. Iraq is ticking all those boxes one by one. If 2024 was the year of silent groundwork, then 2025 appears to be the year of recognition, the point where quiet reform begins to translate into measurable international credibility. In that sense, this update isn't merely a bureaucratic entry in a Treasury report. It's a milestone in Iraq's reemergence as a legitimate player in global economics. Now, as global markets digest the full scope of the 2025 Treasury update, a new phase begins, one defined by observation, analysis, and anticipation. The story of the Iraqi dinar has always been one of endurance, decades of volatility, political obstacles, and economic rebuilding. But today, it is not just a story of recovery, it is a story of potential transformation. The realignment of Iraq's financial systems is not theoretical anymore. It's visible in fiscal reports, monetary policy outcomes, and trade performance indicators. Foreign investment in Iraq is gradually increasing, particularly in energy, construction, and financial technology sectors. Major Gulf investors have re-entered the Iraqi market, while Western institutions are cautiously returning, testing the waters through partnerships and exploratory funds. The country's effort to standardize banking regulations and adopt digital compliance systems has given new assurance to international observers who once viewed Iraq's financial sector as opaque or unstable. This broader ecosystem, a combination of economic reforms, global monitoring, and policy transparency, forms the backbone of what could be the most credible environment for a potential currency recalibration in Iraq's modern history. Still, the world of currency valuation is built on careful balance. Every major move is weighed against global economic conditions, U.S. monetary policy, oil market stability, and regional security dynamics. Analysts tracking the dinar point to several converging factors that could influence Iraq's next steps. Firstly, global de-dollarization trends, especially within BRICS and oil trading nations, are reshaping how countries view foreign exchange independence. Iraq, sitting at the crossroads of Western and Eastern alliances, has a unique advantage. It can trade oil with both dollar and non-dollar partners. This flexibility strengthens its negotiating power and reduces exposure to single currency dependency. Secondly, Iraq's internal push for economic diversification continues to yield results. The agricultural sector is benefiting from new irrigation infrastructure, small manufacturing is reviving in southern provinces, and tourism, particularly religious tourism, is becoming a steady source of revenue. All these developments contribute to a healthier current account balance and a more stable currency outlook. And thirdly, Iraq's debt profile has improved markedly. The government has paid down several legacy obligations, refinanced others on favorable terms, and demonstrated greater fiscal discipline. For international monitors like the Treasury and IMF, these are unmistakable signs of maturity. When such macroeconomic indicators align, the foundation for currency strength becomes tangible, and the speculation about a revaluation, though still unconfirmed, starts to sound more plausible than ever before. However, a responsible analysis must also acknowledge the challenges that remain. Iraq's political structure, though more stable than in previous years, continues to face factional pressures. Economic reforms must survive political cycles, and that will require consistent policy direction from Baghdad. Additionally, global oil prices remain volatile, and any sharp downturn could temporarily weaken Iraq's fiscal stability. Inflation, while under control, could rise if domestic subsidies are reduced or if import costs surge due to global supply chain disruptions. These are real risks, and any balanced assessment must recognize them. Yet even with these caveats, the direction of progress is undeniable. Iraq's economic narrative is evolving from fragility to resilience. For dinar holders, this means that the value of their holdings is now tethered less to speculation and more to actual performance metrics. The story is no longer about if Iraq will stabilize, how far its reforms can take it in the eyes of the global financial community. As the Treasury's update circulates among policy institutions and investors, the consensus emerging is that Iraq has entered a new chapter, one defined by credibility and oversight. That credibility is the essential precondition for any meaningful revaluation event, whether incremental or sweeping. And so, as we stand at this inflection point, the question that echoes across Forex platforms and investment briefings is simple yet profound. Are we witnessing the early stages of Iraq's financial renaissance? The answer, as of now, depends on continued reform, sustained oil stability, and consistent international cooperation. The next few months will be crucial. Every data release, every policy announcement, every central bank decision will be dissected for clues. For dinar holders, patience and awareness are key. The most successful investors in history have been those who recognize the difference between noise and signal, between speculation and transformation. Right now, the signals around Iraq are stronger than they've been in 2 decades. The Treasury's acknowledgement has amplified the discussion, but the real story is unfolding inside Iraq in its boardrooms, ministries, and marketplaces, where real people are shaping the foundation of a credible national currency. If you've followed this journey from the beginning, you know this moment feels different. This isn't another online rumor or recycled prediction. It's a factual evolution unfolding in real time. The global financial system has taken notice, and that alone changes the dynamic entirely. But the story doesn't end here. It's only beginning to accelerate. As new data emerges and government updates continue, the implications for dinar holders could be historic. Stay informed, stay analytical, and most importantly, stay engaged. Subscribe to True Dinar Value for verified updates, expert interviews, and real-time analysis on the developments shaping Iraq's economic transformation. Every week, we decode the facts behind the headlines, because in times like these, understanding reality isn't just valuable, it's essential. So if you believe in data over speculation and want to see how this story truly unfolds, hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and join us as we continue tracking what could be one of the most significant currency stories of our time.